Linda.
I agree. We should be in person. I felt we got bullied last time. The bullies won out. We don't accept that in our schools. So why did we accept it of ourselves? We're elected, and I want to hear what everyone has to say. The people who missed out last time were the ones who had concerns with their children in the schools, and we didn't get to hear it. Hopefully they spoke tonight. You can't go into a medical facility without a mask. If you try, you will get stopped. If you persist, you will have security come. It's the same thing. As far as assistance, we meaning the board or Dave or Peter and Mark, you need to talk to whoever's supposed to back us up and make sure they back us up. Plain and simple. There's no reason why we have armed police there or unarmed police there, even just security guards just for show. They're there to do a job. And I would hope and I would expect next time we do have a plan B. And I do like the idea of maybe moving to another room if something happens and going to, hear the presentations, which I missed out and I found very informative today. But going forward, we need to have this in person.
Should we be in person? Yeah, I believe we should, ultimately. But I think that the police issue with the sheriff's department is very clear, as they came in and told us that they had no intentions of putting hands on. They do not want to get into the middle of this divisive issue as far as they see it. So either we need to get different police or in some way insist that they do their duty. We need a plan, and we don't have one. And that's the problem, because if people refuse to put their masks on, what are our options? If the police will not get involved, we're out of luck. Our option really is to adjourn the meeting or recess it. And I ultimately would like us to see us have one more virtual meeting, and at the next meeting say to the public, we would like to try this again at our following meeting, and we need people to respect the rights of others and wear masks per the law of the state of New York and the health department. And if they can do that, we can continue doing in-person meetings. I'm all for that in that respect. And if we need to get the state police instead of the sheriff's department, so be it. But ultimately, we need people to assist us, unless we're going to go out there and literally try to get these people to leave. And that's just not an option. So I think we need to have a plan going forward before we go back to in person and have everything set up so that ultimately, if we have a problem, we've got a way to deal with it. And right now, we don't have a way to deal with it with the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office.
My hand is up because I've been on the board now over a year, and the police have always been there, or the state trooper, or not state trooper, the sheriff's office.
Sheriff's office.
What is the point of them being there then? I really don't understand that. Can you explain that?
Well, and again, they have told us in no uncertain terms that they're short of them doing something physical, we're attacking someone, they're not going to get in the middle of that. And Dave, you can speak to that even better than I can.
Well, 2 weeks have passed. Our last meeting.
Watch our language a little bit here. I think
our last meeting was 2 weeks ago, and now we're just hearing of this now that they didn't want to intervene. So 2 weeks have passed, and we haven't secured somebody else to take care of this.
Well, they came into our exec session and told us that.
No, we gotta be careful.
No, I didn't hear that. What are you talking about? Who's executive?
I did.
Okay, but you're saying we need to formulate a plan. These days are ticking by and things are getting swept again. We need to figure this out.
Good. If I may, Dave, would you comment on the police?
Yes. The sheriff's department, I talked with them multiple times, and what they did at that meeting was they would not let anybody into the meeting without a mask. The issue occurred that the people took their mask off after they were in the meeting. And I was told, and on this particular issue, I feel the need to state that I'm 99.99% sure that I communicated with the board that the sheriff's department would not physically remove people from the grounds, and that the board would have to be willing to issue a citation if we were to go in that direction. You would need to commit that you were willing to do that. But even at that, the sheriff's department, unless it was a very, very extreme case of some type of physical altercation or something that rose to a very significant level, they were not going to be removing people from the premise. And so if people refuse to cooperate with the expectation, and we had conversations with the attorney and the sheriff's department multiple times, if they refuse to cooperate with the expectation, we still are expected that when people are indoors in our buildings, that they're masked. And we have to hold that hold to that expectation, or there are potential penalties against the district. So the options that we had were based on the direction of our district council as far to how to manage if the sheriffs were not going to remove people from the grounds. How do we manage the meeting if people refuse to cooperate? And that's what the board leadership did at that meeting. I understand the board's concern, or the board's belief that having in-person meetings are preferable. But and there's a national movement around the country to disrupt board meetings. So it's not unique, to Arlington. But if people refuse to cooperate and law enforcement refuses to remove them, it puts us in a very bad catch-22 and catch-22 situation. And I know what people are saying, but I'm not sure that I've heard a lot of suggestions for how we manage that. So if you direct me to come up with a plan, and I'll consult with people again, and we'll come up with a plan for in person. But then it's ultimately going to be on the board president of what needs to happen when people don't cooperate. And I have no reason to believe that the contingent of people that refused to cooperate last time are going to decide to cooperate next time, although maybe they will. I just have nothing. I have nothing to base that on based on what we've seen over the last several months.
And all we're asking them to do is what we've asked all of our employees and all our students to do: wear a mask.
Mark, let me just say a couple of things.
Larry's had his hand up for a really long time.
Ed, if I can jump in just for a second.
Go ahead, Larry.
Again, I just like to get out of the box, and I know that people are being disruptive at the meetings, and I understand that that's really frustrating for all of us, especially me. But I believe that they see themselves as protesting something they really believe in. And I think that if we're going to talk about equity and belonging, they do have a place at the table. What if we moved outdoors where masks could be optional? Could we set up some place where we could have our meeting outdoors? We wouldn't be fined. We would accommodate this population of our community, and see what happens then. I'm done.
Well, I mean, I can explore that. My initial reaction is I'm not sure what you would expect to do on inclement weather situations, first of all, but second of all is I think it would be extremely difficult to coordinate the technology.
Mark, a couple points reaction. People say the sheriff's department, but has Butch come down and said to us that I thought the term they used was they preferred not to arrest folks, that it was a preference, not an absolute. But secondly to that, has Butch come down and told us that he would not arrest anyone who broke the rules? I agree with David. Whenever we needed support from the sheriff's office, state troopers, the town police, we always requested it, and we had that. There is no plan to put in place to say it's a simple decision. Will we have people removed who break the rules in the district? And do we, if the legally constituted group will not do that, then will we bring in our own security folks to have the meetings? The other thing is that I'm amazed that Butch and the sheriff's department would say that when we're paying a ton of money to them for SROs who are there every day and every night. So I
would not believe that the deputies would take it upon themselves to espouse a policy that the sheriff would not endorse.
I can verify a couple things. Number one,
to have that conversation back and forth with the sheriff, not the sheriff's department. I'd like to have it with the sheriff to sit down and talk to us about alternatives and why that is not. Why now, I've never seen in my time that if there was a issue on the district grounds where we have not had police support. I just never seen that. And now and quite frankly, that may be something that if Butch said that, maybe he wants to reconsider it. Maybe he understands the urgency of it, because it is nowhere would we shut down the district. People can't even march on district grounds with signs. We ask them to leave. And if they don't leave, then we bring in security. They can't come to classrooms. They can't come to buildings. They can't. It's masked today, but tomorrow it will be vaccinations.
I can't remember exactly how it was explained to me at this point, and I could confirm it and communicate it, but they have laws and ordinances to back up their position on some of the situations you're describing, like the free speech demonstrations needing to be on public property, for example. They can enforce that. The person who supervises the SROs, who I spoke with, checked with his supervisors, and they went up the line of command. And I have to say that I have found our sheriff's department to be extremely cooperative with us in any of the dealings I've had with them. But they do not feel that that is their place to physically remove a person from our meetings. That has been made clear to me.
Dave, you just said though also that without us willing to bring charges, I forget the term that you used. So that may be part of the solution. I don't think
I believe.
Let me just say this. I mean, I think the answer is tough. There are no easy answers to this, and wait does not make the answer easier. Because if you're not willing to let me use the term directly, if you're not willing to arrest people who interrupt the meeting and refuse to leave, then you might as well not have the meetings at all. You might as well not have the police here at all. I mean, if you got to wait for something drastic to happen, before they take any action, then there's no reason for them.
Ed, you know, I'm not sure what you, so the thing is that if the board agreed that they would want to press, you know, writing tickets for trespassing or whatever, you know, I think that if I followed up with the sheriff's department and went back and got something in writing from them, you know, they would issue the citations, but I don't think that they would physically remove the person from the premises. And I think that short of that, it puts us back in the position of having people that are refusing to comply with the expectations that the state is putting on the district. So, yeah,
I guess I don't
I
understand.
mean, I'm happy to go back and check again, but I think that asking our security people to physically remove a person from the auditorium has its own set of challenges.
Liability issues for one.
What are they?
So
I don't know of any liability in protecting the property of Arlington Central School District.
Well, if they hurt someone on their, as they're trying to remove them.
I don't think the police were securing stores when there were mask mandates in the state. They were not going in and saying, if you weren't wearing your mask in the shop right, that was not the role that they were playing. So when you say people are disrupting our meeting, you know, these people were technically breaking a specific rule, not necessarily disrupting our business. It was disruptive to us when the fines were placed on us, right?
Yeah,
And the loss to state aid.
Well, isn't that the same thing? Isn't it the quantifying
No,
of
two
that?
different things. Two different things. But if I may make a suggestion,
but right here in Dutchess County, they impose a usage of masks. There were businesses were shut down and fined because the patrons were not wearing masks. So they did enforce that. So it's to say that didn't happen isn't exactly true. That was it happened because that was the rules of the day.
Actually, that's not what I said. You're talking about businesses that didn't follow the mask rule. I'm talking about individuals that didn't follow businesses rules in stores. There's just
the businesses make a good faith effort to do that, and they were there. Did not take them out, and they paid the price. You're absolutely right. But
all right, Matt, if I may make a suggestion, can we ask you, Dr. Moyer, to follow up with the sheriff and see if we can clarify this whole issue, if the police will remove anybody who fails to follow our rules and or the law?
Yes.